Hi everyone, so today I have a book talk for you and I'm hoping to keep this spoiler free. But today we're going to talk about the book Dry by Neal Shusterman and Jared Shusterman. And I picked this up because I read the Scythe series from Neal Shusterman and I absolutely loved it. And so I saw this at my local library and I had to pick it up. So this book is about a drought that happens, a severe drought that really just affects society and makes it crumble apart. So starting off this book, you know, they had a drought that's been happening for months and people are told to conserve water, and there's laws such as like you can't fill up your swimming pool, but people aren't taking it too seriously. So the tap out happens and their neighborhoods all of a sudden have no water whatsoever. It's just completely shut off. And everybody is unprepared for this because they haven't been taking it seriously. So this book starts off with them worrying about what to do, and they go to the supermarket right away to buy water and stock up so that they have supplies. Well, everybody else has the same idea, so there's not enough supplies to go around. And you see some betrayal already happening at the beginning of this. Like, who's going to survive and how are you going to do it? And are you going to compromise your morals for survival? So it was a really interesting book that made you think more in depth of like, if this natural disaster happened to me, what type of person would I be? What type of person would I want to be? But in reality, what would I become? What would this do to me as a whole? And what would I be left with when it was all over? So in this book we have our female main character, Alyssa, and our male main character, Kelton. Kelton's family is a doomsday prepper family, so they are 100% prepared for this drought. They have a plan ready to execute. They have the supplies that they need, and they're not worried about it. Alyssa and her family, on the other hand, are not prepared. And so Alyssa and Kelton kind of team up together throughout this book. And some stuff goes down, and they end up having to survive without their parents and just each other. And so Alyssa and Kelton go with her brother Garrett, and along the way they pick up some other people as well. And you get to see different types of personalities through the book that really ignite something like inside of you that's like, oh wow, like I couldn't imagine doing that to another person. So you know, stealing water for your own survival, but stealing it from an old woman who will die without it. But if you don't have the water, you will also die. So what is your other option? I really liked all the characters as a whole, but for some reason, this is going to sound really bad, I was really annoyed with Alyssa's morals because she was really trying to be like the person with her head on their shoulders, like trying to be their moral compass of what is right and wrong. And in my head, I'm just like, girl, it's your own survival. So maybe I would not be a good person if the apocalypse were to happen to me. Maybe I would be a wolf preying on other human beings for my own survival. Because I was really annoyed that she kept getting in the way of her own survival and the other's own survival. But if you, like, she would have been a good human being is what I'm trying to say. I didn't like that she was a good human being. Garrett is her younger brother who is really smart and actually comes up with some good ideas, but no one really gives him credit for, you know, thinking on his feet and are kind of just looking after him because he's the child of the group. Kelton is really iffy, you know? Sometimes he's like, I'm prepared for this, and then other times he's like, maybe in reality I'm not, and he starts having a self-doubt, and he's kind of putting everybody's survival on his own shoulders, which kind of comes off as like heroic, but also like very detrimental to his well-being, and some, I don't want to do any spoilers, so I'm trying not to like give hints of things that happen, but he has his own struggles that he needs to be worrying about throughout this book. But on top of all of that, he has to worry about everybody else in his group surviving. and who can they really trust? Should they trust these other people that they picked up? We also have the other people that we picked up. We have another girl. She's an older girl, so she's kind of like a lower end criminal. You know, she breaks into people's homes and would kind of just couch surf on people's homes that didn't really know any better, like their vacation homes. And she didn't really care because it's not really like they noticed, and it was more of a victimless crime, even though it wasn't victimless. So she's kind of pushed off as like the badass of the group. But inside she's just as scared as they are, and she isn't a bad person. She's just had a hard life. We also have another male that tags along. His name is Henry, who is kind of conniving. He reminds me of Swiper from Dora the Explorer. No more swiping, Swiper, or whatever his name was. He's always trying to find a way to preserve himself and what is best for himself. He has his own self-interest at the core of this, which really annoyed me during the book, but also Alyssa annoyed me. So I don't know whose side I was really on, because I wanted them all to survive, but Henry was my least favorite character, so I'm like, you know, you can just die off. So he's constantly thinking one step ahead. He's ready to drop them at any moment, and is trying to make negotiations to make sure that he survives all this. Because in the end, these people mean nothing to him. He doesn't know them. This book ends with a rescue. I don't think that is a spoiler. Maybe it is. It does end in a rescue. I wish there would have been a little bit more detail to the rescue, because it does kind of fast forward. They get rescued, and then it fast forwards to life after the drought and after the tap out is over. I would have liked a little bit more in-depth explanation of the rescue and of them finding their families and stuff like that. There was also snapshots within this story, and I think that was a nice addition to the story. So it gave you, if I can find one, I'll show you what it looks like. It gave you a little extra from other side characters. What are other people dealing with throughout this drought that aren't... Okay, here's a snapshot. So they have a snapshot of the person who decides to rescue them at the end. They have a snapshot of this old woman, and her name's Charity, and how they are dealing with the drought themselves. So I thought that was a nice addition, just to give you a break from our main characters to see what else is being affected and how everybody else is surviving. I did think this gave a scary realization of what could possibly happen, because this isn't necessarily a dystopian book where the government takes over and kids have to fight back. This is a natural disaster that happens in California. You know, there's forest fires in California all the time. There's droughts all the time. So this has both of those things in there. But this is a severe drought that happens, and what would society look like if it was torn apart by this? And I definitely saw some parallels to what happened with COVID. So at the beginning of the story, like I said, they took away all the water. Everybody bought out all the water, and nobody else could get water. So at the beginning of COVID, I went to the supermarket, and there was no toilet paper. The shelves of food were pretty much bare, and people were buying up all the cleaning supplies. So there wasn't really enough to go around, because no one was prepared for this to happen. So you kind of get that same gist at the beginning of this story with the drought. And I thought that was a little scary to think about, to be honest. But I would definitely recommend this. If this sounds like a good book to you, it is a good book in my opinion, and I think you should pick it up. And let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comments below. And have a wonderful day. Bye!